Around half a year ago, I did the impossible. I sold most of my physical games on Nintendo Switch and rebought them digitally. But why? You know, I'm the kind of player who loves gaming on the go. I take my Nintendo Switch literally everywhere and mostly play in handheld mode, and that's where digital games really shine. Over the last few years of playing on my Switch, I noticed some small downsides to physical games, which is why I finally made the switch to digital. So, if you're anything like me, who also loves gaming on the go, this video is especially for you, because I'll show why digital games can make your life so much easier. However, even today I still wouldn't buy every game digitally. That's why in this video I'll show the main benefits of digital games, but also explain what to consider before deciding on a physical or digital copy so you can get the best of both worlds. So, stay tuned. What is up everybody, I'm Zaidu and I highly welcome you to this video. Looking at the whole digital versus physical debate, most people online still tend to go for physical copies and rant about digital ones. But it doesn't have to be this way. That said, I want to show that for certain games, I think it's worth buying the digital version. So let's take a look at some of the key advantages of digital games. The first big advantage is that there's no transport required. I don't know about you all, but transporting those tiny cartridges when playing on the go had a few downsides for me. First off, with digital games, there's no need to carry extra cartridges when leaving the house. Everything is stored right on the console, so you're always ready to play whatever you feel like. Then there's the risk of losing games. Back when I still used physical copies, I was always worried that a tiny cartridge might get lost while traveling. Losing one not only costs money, it also means losing access to that game entirely. Physical cartridges also limit what you can carry. You can only fit a handful in a case, which automatically restricts your options. And more than once I ran into the classic wrong game problem. I went on a trip, really wanted to play a specific game, and of course I hadn't packed that cartridge. With digital games, that can luckily never happen. Finally, there's the convenience factor. With digital, you just grab your Switch and each of your games is instantly available in your pocket. For handheld players, that's an absolute game changer in my opinion. Another advantage for me is how instantly accessible digital games are. One of the biggest perks in my opinion is that you can start playing right away. No waiting for deliveries, no driving to a store, etc. I really noticed how useful this is when friends came over. Sometimes we'd suddenly want to try a new game together, and instead of waiting for a shipment or rushing out to buy it, I could just purchase and download it instantly. It makes gaming so much more spontaneous, as if you feel like trying something new, you can literally do it within minutes. On top of that, digital games are often cheaper than physical ones. And I don't mean on the eShop. Sometimes when you go to a store, you can find actual physical copies of a game that don't even include a cartridge. Instead, they just come with a digital download code. Now, I know this kinda defeats the purpose of buying a physical copy, but these versions are often significantly cheaper than the cartridge-based editions. I've recently picked up a few of these myself and ended up saving quite a bit compared to both online prices and local store prices. So in some cases, going digital isn't just more convenient, it can also save you money. And speaking of convenience, this might sound a bit silly to some, but for me another huge advantage of digital games is that you can't damage them. I've had it happen on my Wii U before. One of my discs got damaged and suddenly the game was basically worthless. With digital games, that cannot happen. They're safely stored on your console and if anything ever happens, you can just re-download them anytime. Sure, since these games are linked to your Nintendo account, there's a small risk they could disappear if your account gets suspended, but honestly, I don't see that as much of a concern. That's especially why I'm really grateful for the Nintendo Switch game vouchers, which have already helped me save a good amount of money on my digital purchases. For those not knowing, game vouchers are a discount system for Nintendo Switch Online members that lets you buy 2 digital games for $100 in total. Unfortunately, these will be discontinued at the beginning of next year though. However, like I mentioned at the beginning, I wouldn't buy every game digitally, because of course I'm aware that digital games also have some downsides, like for example you can't sell them once you're done playing. That's why I established a small hybrid game collection system, which works pretty well for me. For my evergreen games, those I play over and over like Mario Kart, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom or Mario Maker 2, I buy digital copies. This way I never have to worry about losing them and can play them anytime, anywhere. For one-time playthrough games, I stick to physical copies. Once I'm done, I can resell them, keeping my digital library clean and organized. These are usually games I play on the TV anyway, like NSMBU or Mario 3D World, so I don't really need the mentioned extra benefits of digital. Whenever I'm about to buy a new game, I consider whether I'll keep it for the long run or sell it after a single playthrough. Games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Mario Maker 2 are titles I don't plan on selling, so it's much more convenient for me to own them digitally. While for NSMBU and Mario 3D World, I usually play through them once and then sell them afterward. So, while I'm aware that this hybrid system isn't perfect for everyone, it works pretty well for me and keeps my collection organized, accessible, and convenient. Although at first I wasn't sure myself whether selling my physical games was a good decision, I'm now convinced it was. Physical games are definitely great and have a big collection value, but they just took up space for me and became hard to carry over time. With digital copies, I'm much more mobile and can take my Switch anywhere, since all necessary games are already stored right on the console. So, if you want, feel free to try the system yourself and let me know in the comments what you think about the strategy. And on top of everything I've mentioned, another advantage is that some games are only available digitally in the first place, and sometimes even for a limited time. One example of this was Super Mario Bros. 35. If you want to know why I still miss that game to this day, check out that video by clicking here. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you the next time. Bye bye!